and today I'm talking about trauma and our relationship with food. So food is the first sign of love that we receive from the people that bring us into this world and those who raise us. It can be a form of love, connection, energy, information, medicine. Unfortunately, we know through studies that if you've suffered childhood trauma, you may have developed an unhealthy relationship with food. One of the largest studies, called the ACEs trial, Adverse Childhood Events Study, out of California in the 1990s, told us a lot about childhood trauma. Those who suffered abuse, neglect, abandonment, household problems had a higher propensity for chronic disease. So how does that work? Children that may have been brought up in poverty, homelessness, hunger, maybe they had a parent that was unavailable to provide them with food. They may have an abnormal relationship with food. Those who had negative experiences may have used food to soothe anxiety and depression. It may have mitigated some of those negative experiences. So food was a support, was a comfort. It allowed them to survive those traumas. It can be a form of escape. Let's say they were subjected to perpetual trauma and food was a way for them to escape that negative space. It can be a form of control. If they grew up in an environment where there was chaos, where they felt that they were out of control with their own body or themselves, they may have used food to help create control. And a lot of people that have suffered childhood trauma end up with eating disorders, whether it's anorexia, bulimia, overeating, and it's a way to mitigate that control need. It can be mitigating negative emotions such as anxiety and depression, and that can come in the form of addiction. Food can be an addiction, just like sugar and fatty foods and oily foods and salty foods can be an addiction. So when we find that we have low dopamine states and we become more impulsive, meaning we constantly crave eating more and more even when we're not hungry, or we eat one slice or two slices or 10 slices, or we eat the entire tub, we're constantly thinking about acquiring food. This tendency can be in other addictions as well, and attention deficit disorders. But this impulsivity can be from childhood trauma caused by neuroplasticity, which means changes in the brain. The prefrontal cortex decreases activity, causes low dopamine states, and it causes us to become impulsive. Another behavior is compulsive. We're always thinking about food, stuck on food, how and when we're going to acquire more food. That can make us agitated and irritable and stuck in negative thought. And this can be because of decreased activity in the intercingular gyrate, which causes low serotonin states, and these low serotonin states causes us to be compulsive or impulsive about food. So how do we overcome this childhood trauma and neuroplasticity that's occurred and these coping behaviors that we have created to survive? I always say awareness is the path to wellness. When we unravel our trauma story, our behaviors make sense, by Judy Crane. I feel like when we unravel our trauma story and then we pay attention to how our mind and our body and our emotions feel and how we use food to mitigate those negative emotions, that's our path to wellness. That's our way to wellness. So mindfulness is paying attention without judgment. I always ask all my patients to start with a mindful experience when it comes to food. When we create a positive relationship with our mind and our body and our thoughts and our emotions, we can then change our relationship with food equally. So it starts with self and self-love. Understanding that we develop these coping behaviors to survive. So rather than hating ourselves or guilting ourselves or shaming ourselves with food, we give ourselves a pat on the back that we created a way to survive using food. But now we are safe, and now we want to change our relationship with food. So making the decision to change is also the second step. Third is in order to have a healthy, creative, meaningful relationship with food, we have to create that experience. Prepare your own food. Cut up your vegetables, cook your food, look up a recipe, find the food that you want to eat and serve your body with it. Having that experience of smelling, tasting, preparing the food starts that journey of positive relationships. Don't get distracted. Don't turn on your technology, your television, your phone, your iPad while you're eating. That's an escapism. So try to get into the process of appreciating that food. Sit down when you're eating. Stay still. Use all your senses. Look at your food, smell your food, taste your food, chew your food thoroughly, swallow your food before you eat the next bite. Add gratitude to your eating experience. Be grateful for the people that brought that food to your table and the opportunity to have food. So mindfulness is a great way to cultivate good eating habits. Dieting is not. So I discourage you from using the word diet. Choose foods that actually serve you and make you feel better. Stop focusing on how your body looks and focus more on how your body feels when you eat certain foods. Making that positive connection again and changing behavior because it serves you. Now, in addition to eating healthfully and making a mindful experience, I also recommend doing self-care. This could include yoga, meditation, breath work, exercise, making connections with loved ones that support you, having purpose and passion in life, being in nature, drinking your water. All these other things that you're doing to cultivate self-care will also change your need to have a positive relationship with food. So remember that awareness is the path to wellness. First, creating that awareness about why you chose to use food as a way to survive. 2, telling yourself you no longer have to do that there are other ways to cultivate self-care and healing. Using mindfulness to stay present in that very moment, forgiving yourself when you don't. Having a healthy relationship with food takes time. Forgive yourself if you do need more time for that to happen. Cultivate positive relationships in the environments around you so that you are successful. I'm Dr. Jyoti Patel. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Till next time.